Thank you for coming back. I have to always thank you for coming back because all of this content is important. All of it. The content that refers to me and refers to all of the employees, the federal employees at Shaw. So, for this, how far will they go? Part 3. I have to mention this part. And this part ties into me, but I'm not sure directly how many other people when it comes to dealing with whistleblowing directly. So here's the situation. January, I went to the IG, the Inspector General's office for Shaw, the representative there. And I turned in almost 100 photos of some form of hazing that violates Uniform Code of Military Justice, that violates the Department of Defense regulation against hazing. So, now, let me first tell you that if you take a look at the screen here, this one I have up here now, it shows what happened at one military installation, one Air Force installation, to 2 colonels that were involved in hazing. They got fired. There's a link on there, and it'll be a link in the bottom to where you can actually go in and read the story that tied into hazing. Okay? Now, when it came to hazing, nothing happened at Shaw. Now, take a look at this next slide here. I've provided you with the DOD instruction, the number, and a part of the description that outlines some of the hazing. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, ask yourself, do these pictures meet the rules as defined by the Department of Defense, DOD Instruction 1020.03? Now, that's a question you have to ask for yourself. So, now, when I turned in these pictures, the end result was also a catalyst towards giving me a smack on the hand because I had no business telling. Now, mind you, remember the first slide you saw was the article from the Air Force Times and what happened at another Air Force installation when it came to hazing. What happened here with regards to here at Shaw, with regards to the hazing that I turned in, the pictures that I turned in, which was almost 100 pictures, and you are only seeing just 4 of them. Imagine what else is there. But they said that, they said they're not going to do it no more. It's okay. What's your determination as to how this was handled? I didn't even find out, even though I was the complainant. They never got back to me to say that they weren't going to do anything about it, that I was safe whistleblowing. They didn't let me know what I was safe about that. But it was held against me because I spoke up. When you're warned as a Black person, when you're warned that you're trying to become a power couple, that you're trying to learn too much, that you're trying to do too much, you make yourself a live target. There's always that standing feeling that learning too much, puts them too far ahead, gives them awareness of what we're doing. So, but anyway, take a look at these, figure out, ask yourself some questions, come up with your own questions on this. So, how far will they go? Throughout the course of my situation, I did a number of different FOIA requests. Well, it came to the last point, the last FOIA request I done. Now, FOIA requests are freedom of information requests. People are tired, the public is entitled to, as long as it doesn't cross specific guidelines. It can't violate somebody's privacy. It can't violate national security. There's certain other guidelines, but when you're talking about demographics, numbers, FOIA requests should not be an issue. So I submitted a FOIA request to the Freedom of Information Officer who handles these, right? And again, when certain offices are oversaw by military members who are sworn to follow the directions of their superiors, then it skews how the course of business is supposed to be per federal guidelines. Okay, so I submitted my FOIA request, and rather than the FOIA officer handling the request, I received a response back from someone outside of mission support group, outside of the FOIA officer himself, right? A military member with rank. That military member denied the FOIA request, but Human Resources had also given him copies of my personnel file, which they were not entitled to. They were not, quote unquote, in my chain of command. I did not work in any structure under them. They had no business with my information. They didn't ask me if it was okay to submit my Privacy Act information to that person. But they sent me a denial of my FOIA request and a copy of the adverse action that they were trying to give me, along with some other paperwork. Now, you have to ask yourself again, what were they doing with that? What gave them the right to have that? They did not work anywhere where they were supposed to have my personnel information. And per federal regulation and guidelines, they should never have had it. So, now, how far will they go? I told you this is not all about me, because they weren't creating the book when they came after me. They had already had things in place for the different people that came before me and the people that they intend to go after me until this all comes out. I had a conversation with an employee, and they expressed a great deal of concern because one member of Human Resources had, with extreme aggression, confronted them, locking the door of their office so that person felt like they could not get out. Basically, what is it called? when you hold someone against their will. There's a legal terminology, and it slips my mind right now, but I'm sure somebody out there listening knows the legal terminology for keeping someone against their will. Okay, locking them in the office. Now, that person could not leave the office, but at some particular juncture, that person felt so much fear that at the end of the day, when they were trying to go home, they felt like they needed to call security forces, which is the military police, to get an escort to go to their car, because they were afraid that that person will come back after them. Part of the results that came out of that person that I was having a conversation with, that was expressing what happened to them, they were working from home for a period of time because they had some type of adverse action taken against them. Now, that particular time when they got extremely aggressively confronted in their office, it was loud enough, per the conversation I was having with them. They said it was loud enough that it was heard through the halls, and that even one person came to try to get the other person to leave, and that person and the alleged assailant slammed the door on them and locked the them two in. But it was so loud it was down the hall. Now, keeping in mind some of the things you've seen in the previous videos, what do you think happened to the alleged assailant, the alleged perpetrator? Well, what I can tell you is they're still working at Shaw. They're still working at Shaw. You tell me why. I'm wondering why. Anytime you have to have security forces come in to escort an employee out because they fear another employee may take some type of action against them, that's a problem. But when you're in certain positions, and when you're at Shaw, when you're working under mission support group, there's a lot of leeway for the fact that there's almost zero accountability for negative actions towards employees. It's a pattern of behavior so pervasive, like a cancer that has metastasized on the installation. But I think that's enough for this one. How far they go will go, but there's so much more. And so I asked you, please look at the video, share the video, make comments if you need to, share the video, share. And I will say these things, these two statements again. The allegations that I make against Shaw Air Force Base with regards to my case, I have evidence. And if Shaw Air Force Base feels that there is no merit, that these allegations are false, I challenge them, step forward and speak publicly to it. Speak publicly, not behind closed doors. I challenge them, speak publicly. I thank you for listening to this video. I thank you for listening to the previous ones, and I ask that you continue because there's so much more to come. The employees at Shaw Air Force Base desperately need public attention and need help. Have a great holiday.